Protests are underway right now on college campuses across the country.
And that's despite police clearing out several encampments on school grounds overnight. And we've seen demonstrations from coast to coast. Scuffles broke out between police and protesters at the University of Wisconsin in Madison this morning. That standoff follows violent clashes that erupted on the campus of UCLA between rival demonstrators Tuesday night.
And roughly 300 people have been arrested overnight in New York City. Police were called to respond to protests on Columbia University's campus as pro-Palestinian demonstrators occupied one of the school's main halls. Additional arrests were made at a city college just a few blocks away.
Our Lilia Luciano is at Columbia University following all of this for us. Lilia, you've been there since last night. What's the situation on the ground like now?
Well, right now, Lana, Errol, the situation here is very calm. There is outside where you're seeing behind me is, of course, Columbia University. There's a gate there where they're checking student IDs, making sure that it's students going in. NYPD will remain on campus until May 17th. Commencement is happening on May 15th. And so in order to prevent for more encampments or an occupation of another building or the same building, it sounds like NYPD will remain there. The majority of the arrests that happened on campus last night were not here at Columbia. We're at the City College of New York. It's a CUNY campus. We were there just after the protesters who had been manifesting outside of the gates, which had been shut because there has been an encampment there since last Thursday. Since that protest started happening, police came and started arresting people there. But we were there when police breached through that gate and went into the encampment and then arrested many more people. Of course, they were detaining people there and here using zip ties. What I heard from students was people were given an opportunity to walk away, and if they resisted, then they would be arrested. Also, here at Columbia, the university communicated yesterday to students who had been part of the occupation of Hamilton Hall that they could be facing expulsion. Right now, what I'm hearing, too, is that there might be a protest in the coming hours. That is expected to happen, of course, outside of the university because of the heavy police presence and barricades that have been placed all around this area.
And Lilia, Columbia said it had no choice but to call in the NYPD. But we're all watching this from the outside. We know New York City Mayor Eric Adams said outside agitators. He has proof that they're a part of this somehow. How are students reacting to all of this unfolding?
That's such an interesting point. I'm glad you asked, Carol, because this is a protest that's happening not just inside this college campus, Columbia University, and inside other college campuses. There are protests all around the world. People are protesting the suffering, the killing in Gaza. More than 30,000 people have been killed there. So when I talk to students, they seem puzzled that, A, so much attention is being placed on their demands and on these protests, but at the same time, they're saying, look, we have the eyes of the world here. We want something to be done, but don't lose sight of why we are protesting. They're saying whether we're arrested, whatever happens here, only pales in comparison to the suffering that is happening there. So it's a bit of a balancing act between the students, reminding everybody what is being protested. So outside agitators, a handful of people who are either showing support or perhaps fanning the flames and agitating students is not how this started. This started because students have had concerns about the war and the way that the war in Gaza has been carried out and the humanitarian crisis and the famine. So what I hear from students is, I'm not here because some agitator told me. They were not violent inside the encampment. Things started to escalate after that deadline expired. And sure enough, what we're hearing from the city is that there are outside influencers or consultants or agitators. But I think, what students are saying is, you're missing the mark in a way. This is not about, we were here for legitimate concerns for what we are seeing playing out in Gaza.
All right, we'll continue to connect with you as things unfold. Lilia Luciano, thanks so much. Earlier, we mentioned a standoff between police and protesters at the University of Wisconsin in Madison. What you're looking at now is actually UCLA in Los Angeles.
And several protesters were arrested.
Scuffled.
Yes, after defying police. For more on this, we want to see what Kara Finnstrom has to say. Kara.
UCLA leaders have announced that all classes are now being canceled for today because of the distress caused by the violence on the campus late last night. The hospital and the health system, though, they are going to remain open. Early this morning, the Sheriff's Department sending crews to support the LAPD and the Highway Patrol, as well as the campus police. UCLA did declare the gathering here unlawful, but as you can see, that pro-Palestinian encampment remains with a flag being raised above it just a short while ago. Let's give you a look at what was seen here overnight, though. Fireworks were thrown, as well as wood pallets and what appears to have been smoke bombs. Pieces of the makeshift barrier put up around the encampment also appear to have been broken apart, and it looks like some people in the group were pepper sprayed. Now, officers did move in overnight, and the university stated that law enforcement was prepared to make arrests. At this point, though, we want to stress there's no word of any arrests having been made, no word of any injuries either, although we did see ambulances leaving from here yesterday. We are awaiting an update from university officials as to what their plans are for moving forward. Unclear whether they will move in now to try and clear this encampment. Back to you.
Thank you.
Earlier, we mentioned a standoff between police and protesters at the University of Wisconsin in Madison. The two sides briefly scuffled as police attempted to break down the encampment on that campus.
As you can see, several protesters were arrested after defying police. And for more on this, we want to bring in CBS News national security contributor Samantha Vinegrad. She's a former assistant secretary for counterterrorism and threat prevention at the Department of Homeland Security. Good to have you with us, Sam. So let's just start off with the challenges that these protests pose to individual police departments. Give us some context.
Well, these First Amendment protected activities are supported by all sorts of law enforcement professionals and others on college and university campuses across the country. That's why university and college administrators have and should clearly articulate codes of conduct and public safety requirements for all individuals who are authorized to be on campus. So the First Amendment protected activity is supported. What is not supported is unlawful behavior. And that is where campus security officials, whether it be school administrators or actual campus security officers, who are in most cases sworn law enforcement officers, that is when they may consider asking for supplementary law enforcement support to restore and maintain public safety. And that is what we have seen at Columbia, at the CUNY, and at other colleges and universities across the country. When certain triggers are met, supplementary law enforcement officials are needed to restore and maintain public safety. And that is where, and I worked on this in my capacity as Assistant Secretary at DHS, that is where the federal government can help facilitate scenario planning, tabletop exercises, and the exchange of information between campus security officials, state and local officials, as well as, in certain instances, federal officials as well.
What do we make of the reporting from New York City's mayor, at least, that there are outside agitators as part of this? It started with students protesting the treatment of Palestinians as it relates to the Israel-Hamas war, but what type of intelligence is available to understand why any entity would want to fan the flames of conflict in the U.S.?
Well, we do have to wait and see what the profiles are of the outside agitators that are involved, because frankly, it could mean a whole lot of different things. What we do know is that individuals not associated with the university have been participating in various encampments, in the Harrison Hall barricade and other matters, and that they are not authorized to be on campus. They are trespassing and should be and are being processed according to the law in that respect. Outside agitators could mean individuals with a history of criminal activity. It could mean individuals with terrorism-related derogatory information, or it just could mean individuals who feel inspired to join these activities because they have a shared motivation with the actual students and university officials that are participating. So the devil is really in the details here, but from a law enforcement perspective, it's important to differentiate individuals that are authorized to be on campus in the first instance and individuals who are not. And it does really point to the fact that these colleges and universities are having a hard time keeping individuals off campus who are not authorized to be there in the first place. I do expect that we will hear from various law enforcement jurisdictions, whether it be New York, LA, Wisconsin, and all the other 21 states overall that are impacted, about the profiles of these individuals. I will be watching to see if there are known anti-government anarchist violent extremists that are involved, and or if there are any individuals with terrorism-related derogatory information that are there as well.
And given some of the reports we've heard about anti-Jewish hate, if there are also Nazis and white supremacists in that group as well. All of those details still forthcoming. Sam, we appreciate you bringing that to us.
Thanks.